Alright fellas, here we are back in Pokemon Masters, and today we're going to be taking a look at Cynthia and Garchomp. It's weird to not say like Suit, Neo Champion, Special Costume. We're just looking at Cynthia and Garchomp, Mega Garchomp. So this actually was my first ever Pokefair character. So that's interesting. I joined the game on release, but then I lost that account. Came probably around December of 2020, and there was a Cynthia and Steven double banner, so I summoned on it, got Cynthia, candied her like a year and a half later to 3 out of 5, and here we are today. So first ever Pokefair, I guess, which I mean, fitting, so that's cool. Anyway, either way, I do like Cynthia as a character, it's cool. Somebody recommended that I do a showcase for her. This is more of a spotlight, which, if you don't know what that means, it's a term that I not coined, but it's the term that I use when I look at sync pairs in a showcase format, but they're not actually running. A showcase is more so meant for characters that are actually running or have very recently run, or whatever else. Spotlights are effectively the same thing, but it's only looking at characters that are not currently rerunning or characters that just don't really have any reason to be shown off, like a general pool unit or something. But either way, whatever. We're going to be looking at Cynthia here today. She's got a lot of good abilities despite her age, and we'll go over those whenever we get into the battles. So I don't want to hold you here too long. Let's go ahead and get into the battles. Here we are for an on-type battle with a very generic setup of Ingo and Courtney. These are probably her most basic partners. Ingo has been a timeless, I guess, timed now. I guess he's really aged, right? But I mean, he's been a very good support for Cynthia ever since his release. He's been setting sand. The way Cynthia works is that she is a sand abuser, being a ground type from back in what, 2020? She debuted, I think, at the beginning of 2020, roughly, somewhere around there. So yeah, she's been good for that, I guess. But the big thing is that she is a ground striker, right? With Earthquake and whatnot, she can use her AoE sync move being ground type, and with her Mega Sync move. Cool stuff, right? Ingo's been a great support because he's able to set sand, which Cynthia's always needed, and he's also able to buff her attack and crit, while Cynthia can stand there and buff her own speed with her trainer move. She is a character that benefits off of sand from Sandblaster. She has Haymaker from her recent, well, not recent anymore, pretty much a year and a half old. Wow. Power Boost, where she got Haymaker, Sandblaster, and then some other things, and Super Duper Effective 5, I think, which is useful here, right? So it was a good power up to her nuke, because previously, before that, her nuke was just sync nodes. That was it, no actual multipliers. So now that she has Haymaker and Sandblaster 5, she's actually got a okay sync nuke. It's nothing crazy, but it is pretty solid, as you can see there. I mean, she handles ground stages without pretty much any issue. 5,000 damage without having Surging Sand activated. We should, yeah, I went for the slash there because I wanted to use Cynthia's nuke to finish off the battle here. Probably should have just showcased her Earthquake damage, but that's fine. It's not really a big issue. So yeah. Again, very basic setup here. Ground zone plus sand is what you would run with Cynthia. That's probably one of her biggest issues, is that she wants to be ran in sand. Modern ground types generally don't have that restriction. Like, I mean, there's Variety Giovanni, right? He does want sand. Adamant doesn't require it. Fall Rock Sand doesn't require it. Insert other ground type units that are probably more recent, they don't require it. Even Maxi, back when he released, he was sun based. 20,000 damage on the second sync move, by the way. Very, very strong for sure. So yeah, there's Cynthia with her very basic team setup and whatnot. Pretty much the one team that you would probably run for her very consistently against any ground stage. She wants sand. She wants Ingo's attack and crit buffs. His speed buffs from using Mud Slap, right, are also helpful. Her big multipliers are sand, attack buffs, and speed buffs. Those are what you want to focus on for her. She can buff all of them besides set sand, which she can do at 5 out of 5, but this is a 3 out of 5 showcase, right? And her grid expansion has and power boost did indeed served to give her some very good boosts, especially from when she released, right? Because prior to her grid expansion and power boost, you had Surging Sand and like 6 sync nodes. That was pretty much it, and ramming speed, I guess. But the power boosts were very, very helpful for sure. Alright, so I figured I'd go ahead here and look at a more free-to-play setup with Hop and Acerola here. Acerola sets sand and Hop buffs attack. Cynthia can again buff her own speed and crit in sand, though she doesn't need the crit buffs because, again, Hop's able to provide it. But it's fine. It works out. So either way, whatever. This is a free-to-play setup for Cynthia. She works fine. This is without ground zone, of course, so numbers are going to be looking worse. And, of course, she doesn't have the theme skill for ground activated or Sinnoh. Probably really anything. I don't know if she has any themes with this team. I didn't look. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Theme skills are not really the biggest of the meta, though. Honestly, would not mind if they were to invest a little bit more in theme skill power, but whatever, either way. So yeah, Cynthia's biggest thing here is at 3 out of 5, she's got Surging Sand 2, Surging Sand 3, Super Duper Effective 5, Haymaker, Sand Blaster 5, Ramming Speed, and 6 Sync Nodes. Obviously, you can't pick everything up, even with extra grid energy from the tile grid expansion update, where you got the 10 energy depending on what move level you are and whatnot. She definitely benefits a bit from that, but doesn't still is not able to make full use of everything she gets. So this grid mostly runs Super Duper Effective 3, or sorry, Super Duper Effective 5, Surging Sand 3, Ramming Speed, 1 or 2 Sync Nodes, and then Haymaker and Sand Blaster, which is really what she needs and really what she wants for the most part, right? So yeah. Mostly it. Her power boost was very, very good. Haymaker and Sand Blaster was helpful. Other than that, her grid tiles were pretty good as well. 2 out of 5, she got Surging Sand 2, which was helpful for those that maybe want to go for DPS, or may want to, I don't know, just have her at 2 out of 5, I guess, which I wouldn't really recommend doing, but you can make it work because she does also unlock Haymaker or Sand Blaster, one of the two. I think it's Sand Blaster she unlocks at 2 out of 5, so you can make a small nuke there, plus the Sync Nodes that she gets and whatnot. So you can actually run a relatively decent 2 out of 5 Cynthia grid if you want to. It's not the worst idea in the world. Again, I also just wanted to finish off this battle here with her Sync Nuke, just because, why not? So yeah, but once she got to 4 out of 5 and 5 out of 5, she got a lot. She got defense down on the opponent. She got -2 defense for all enemies after using her Sync move, which is helpful. She got Dust Kicker and Sand Alert? Yeah, Dust Kicker and Sand Alert, giving her Sand plus Sand Extension, which is extremely helpful. The caveat to that is obviously you miss out on power nodes and whatnot. Like, you could go for DPS, but now you're going for that. And obviously, you do have to sync with her to get that sand, but it is extremely helpful, especially in conjunction with Ingo, because Ingo's setups for sand are a little bit weird. So being able to use Cynthia for at least Sand Extension is actually pretty helpful for running her specifically. It's not a crazy buff, but it is helpful. She also got Critical Strike 9, which, I mean, for single target damage, it probably beats out Earthquake because of Earthquake's split damage, but if we're going single target to single target, Earthquake is still stronger, so keep that in mind. Here for an off type with Special Costume Adamant and Ingo. Pretty sure I used this exact same setup last time, but this one is now focusing more on DPS from Adamant because, yay, 3 out of 5. Could have focused on, could have done a little bit better because I did end up healing a little bit too much with Adamant, so probably just changing out the gradual healing from Ingo's Sandstorm would have been enough, but whatever, it didn't really end up mattering because Adamant is crazy. So I guess this is your double Sinnoh ground type abuse. Is there any other ground type Sinnoh units besides Adamant and Cynthia? I don't think so. I guess Lodge Cynthia too, right? She's ground with Gastrodon. And maybe there's more. I'm just not forgetting. I'm not remembering. I don't know. Bertha, right? I have the list literally pulled up right next to me. Bertha. But whatever. I probably should have showcased her with Bertha. That would have probably been a good idea, but oh well, it's fine. I just forgot Bertha's existence. All right, come on. It would have probably been a good idea, but I did. Oopsies. Whatever. Either way, this is more of a showcase of Cynthia's DPS here with Surging Sand 5, Surging Sand 5, which is her innate passive, by the way. That's why it pops up and why I never mentioned it, because it is an innate passive. So if you want to look at all of Cynthia's multipliers, she's got 400 attack, give or take, without the Mega, right? Like 450, we'll say. She's got Surging Sand 5, Surging Sand 3, Ramming Speed, and Surging Sand 2 as potential DPS options, all of which are pretty strong, right? There's a lot of different buffs, the only caveat being, for one, you have to invest in Cynthia's abilities, right? You have to give her ground, maybe not ground zone, but like sand you have to give to her. You have to probably bring a support that can buff at least attack, crit, or speed, or at least one of those. Ingo does fit that build pretty well, and then, of course, it does also factor in that you are doing AoE damage, right? So that's why, Earthquake's not really a high base power move. It's like, what, 130 or something base power, if even that, I think. So we got to really factor that stuff in, right? And then, but like single target, right? Cynthia could look really good. Cynthia and single target damage could look good. That's why her power boost was so focused on giving her a sync nuke, because the sync nuke, striker sync nuke, AoE sync move, right? Hits the sides, KOs them, and then you got single target left, so you just spam Earthquake. That's what probably the intention was. Did it pan out? I mean, sure, for on-type damage, it did kind of pan out to work like that, which is great. but I would say it more so failed for like off-typing, right? Because off-typing probably does require more investment. I'd say you could probably get a good-looking setup with like Argenta or someone who's able to, because Argenta is able to buff crit, speed, and attack very effectively, plus physical moves next as well. And you can also run her with Neo Champion Silver, get the Sand extension from him if you wanted to. That could probably work relatively effectively, but I don't know. Either way. There we go. There was the off-type setup with Ingo and special costume Adaman. Let's go ahead and finish off this battle with a triple Cynthia setup, you know. Everyone's worst nightmare. Alright, I'm sure that this setup is very, very scary for like anyone who has gone blind into Diamond Pearl, Platinum, or Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, right? Facing Cynthia and 3 of her most iconic team members is not very fun. But whatever. Either way, this setup's not like absurd. It's fine. These Cynthias don't synergize. The person who initially wanted me to do the Cynthia showcase probably was intending on like Renegade Cynthia, Aura Cynthia, the regular Sigma Suit Cynthia, and not Lodge Cynthia, but this team probably has the most synergy if we're trying to go for the triple Cynthia setup, because Renegade Cynthia's only real utilization is defensive debuffs. If we're trying to empower regular Cynthia, then the only real usage that character has is being able to debuff defense with Shadow Ball. Other than that, pretty much nothing. And then Sigma Suit Cynthia is mostly just good for sync countdown, which is not bad in its own right, and probably could have been relatively effective here, but I don't know, I felt that the even smallest amount of chip damage from the earthquakes with Lodge Cynthia was just more helpful, honestly. And surprisingly, even without sand and all of her sand-related multipliers, Cynthia was able to put in a lot of damage on this sync move here, with the support X, of course. 17,000 damage from the Aura Cynthia sync move was... support EX, right, was very, very helpful, and of course the sprint EX was helpful there. And then 2,000 damage from Lodge Cynthia's Earthquake was pretty funny, to say the least. But yeah, there it is. That's the Cynthia showcase for the most part. There's a lot of different ways you can run this character, which is great for sure. She's still a pretty solid ground unit. If you need an on-type ground damage dealer, at 3 out of 5 Cynthia is going to be just fine. Even at 2 out of 5, I'd say you can probably make Cynthia work relatively well. At the very least, if you have like Ingo or better partners like Neo Champion Silver or Variety Giovanni that you can make abuse of, then you can work around with that, which is fair for sure. So hey, if you want to do that, go for it. I could probably have spent like 5 more battles if we were going to just like limit it to Koga or some like legendary arena or something, that I could just showcase different scenarios with Cynthia if I wanted to. I definitely could have, but I figured I'd just limit it to this, showcase Cynthia, you know, on her not optimal team, but the most basic setup that you would use with her, a free-to-play setup, this triple Cynthia setup for fun, and then an off-type setup with Adaman. I figured those were probably the best bases to cover, but again, you could run her with Variety Giovanni to good effect. You could run her alongside Special Costume Lyra to pretty decent effect. Neo Champion Silver, Paulo, these characters work relatively well with her. Anyone who can set or extend Sand, do a little bit of supportive on her attack speed or crit, those characters will work just wonders with her, of course. So that's very, very nice for sure. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. That was the Cynthia and Garchomp 3 out of 5 Spotlight. I love this character. I do. I guess just the nostalgia, right? I do like Cynthia as a character. She's fine as a character. She's not like in my top 5, but she's solid. I mean, I put her probably around a 8 out of 10 character, I guess, if everyone else on my top 10 is 10 out of 10, right? But yeah, pretty good nostalgia because of Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum being my favorite games, and her being my first ever Poke Fair. So that's fun. Yeah, hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you all later. Good time to showcase the demon again, right? The original demon, I guess, besides Lance.